Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? How are you all doing tonight? I almost said this morning. Welcome to Midnights of Madness. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and with me tonight is Adega Outlaw. Hopefully, he will be here for the foreseeable future on Thursdays. How are you doing, Adega?
Hey, I was the one who was actually screaming, "Don't touch me," but
Uh,
gosh darn it, Loki's handsy tonight.
oh yeah, oh yeah, super handsy. That did not sound like Adega Outlaw.
You haven't heard me scream in terror.
That must have been Adega Outlaw. His cousin, his evil cousin, his mirror self. Oh, Orville Nation, how are you doing, BJ? Oh my God, it's Adega. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, 24/7 Fusion Media. That intro was fucking awesome. Thank you, sir. I love that song. I actually made that like probably 10 years ago. I did that intro. I did the music for a different intro, but that is the music I did. And I just stole it off that. I always liked it. I always liked it. And I just changed the video. Dave Bob, how are you doing? RR, how are you doing, sir? Lady Mist, good evening, lady. Eldrick Thrust Lord is back. Jedi Bill 797, Dark Monkey over at. Oh my lord, I cannot talk tonight. What's his face make whatnot? Hey, brother. Rhonda, hello, Rhonda. 24/7 Fusion Media. Oh man. How is everybody doing? Heiress of Chaos.
She's
Good.
defending me. Look at that. Adega. Thank you,
Adega.
Eris.
Adega. It's like the little aliens in Toy Story. Adega, the claw, Adega. Oh man, Parrothead, how are you doing? Oh, the intro started with you. Well, I didn't mean to. Oh man. Oh, Mexican Iron Man's back in the house tonight. How are you doing, brother? Mexican Iron Man, pronounced Adega. Adega.
For correct pronunciation, refer back to Eris or Captain Trek.
Adega.
That's with the Mexican accent there. Adega.
Adega. Odega. Odale. Oh shit. So guys, we're here tonight to talk about the Titans, the Greek Titans of myth and legend. Now, a lot of you know about the Greek gods and where the Greek gods came from. You know about Zeus, you know about Olympus, but what was there before them? What created them? And what created the Titans? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight with Doctor and author Adega Outlaw.
And generally stupid person. Thank you.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Usually, guys, when Adega says something, you can take that shit to the bank. You can take it to the bank. If Adega says, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it because you're going to be fine. So how did all this start, dude? It started with Uranus.
It started with, yep. And for the chat to know, you're talking with two amateurs when it comes to the Titan mythology, but we're going to do our best. And if any of you can help us out in chat, that would be awesome. But yeah, what we gathered is Uranus and Gaia, Earth and Heaven. They decided to have children. And the original children of Uranus was 12. And they were the first Titans. And I learned something from Loki tonight, that the children of the Titans I used to think were Olympians, but most of the children of the Titans were not. They were also considered Titans.
Yeah, like Prometheus.
Right. And as you can see, our avatars represent different Titans. Mine is my favorite of the Titans, Hyperion, god of the sun, the moon, and the dawn.
And my avatar is Prometheus. And Prometheus was the trickster god and the bringer of fire and the creator of man. Not to be confused with Loki from the Norse mythology, who was the trickster god and bringer of fire and humanity.
Seems fitting.
Seems very fitting, doesn't it? Oh crap! So you've got Uranus and Gaia, and they have these Titans. And the youngest and boldest of the Titans was the leader, And you'd think, well, why was it the youngest? Well, he was the youngest, and he was the biggest go-getter of the group, which was Kronos. Not to be confused with Chronos, as in time, grandpa of time, but Kronos, who became the supreme ruler of the universe. Can you tell us how that happened?
It was a sick and twisted fairy tale of the Greeks where Uranus was quite mad at one point and decided, you know what? I don't like these kids. I'm going to swallow them. So he swallowed them all, except for Kronos. And Rhea, or not Rhea. Sorry, I'm getting the mothers mixed up. That was Gaia. Rhea married Kronos. Gaia married Uranus. Gaia said, now we're not going to have this. She secretly had a scythe or sickle, some say a sword, made in order to rescue her children, and Kronos was disguised as the cupbearer and was going to bring a drink. I'm getting the two stories mixed up. They're very similar between Kronos and Zeus. But in the long run, 4 of the boys... Yeah, okay, I'm going back step. It's tired.
Okay.
These were not the ones. Uranus didn't swallow the kids. He was just a bad dude.
No, he was just a bad dude. And back then the Titans looked at power like fertility. Okay, fertility was the big thing. Now, Kronos was the god of the sky and like bringer of fertility. Okay, when he chopped off Uranus's package, the Titans viewed Uranus as you are no longer worthy to be ruler and leader of the universe.
Right.
Now we look to Kronos, who is the god of the sky, the universe, and fertility, and he will be our leader.
Yeah, basically the way they castrated him, Kronos had 4 of his brothers, and they don't say how he did it, but they called them the Pillars. And the story where you get Atlas and the different ones, they were all based off of how they held up the heavens or Uranus so that Kronos could get underneath the old man and cut his balls off.
Parrothead, Kronos is the one who ate the kids. Kronos' dad is the one that got castrated. So Zeus and all of them, they're Kronos' kids. And he's the one who swallows them and eats them because he didn't want them to overpower him one day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got that mixed up between the two. I'm having a heck of a time. Zeus, Kronos, and Uranus. Oh, the red
guys, we are amateurs here talking about something fun, talking about something that I read about when I was a kid because I love the Greek gods. I love the Greek mythology. I absolutely love mythology in all shapes or forms. It wasn't until my teenage years that I got into other things like Vikings, which we will cover eventually after we cover the Titans and the Greek gods. We will move on to the Norse mythology. So, what are some of the other Titans? We've got Prometheus, obviously. We've got Hyperion. What about Hyperion?
Well, the original 12 were Oceanus and Tethys. They were married, and of course they did all the what were they? The Oceanids were their descendants.
Yeah,
Hyperion.
Oceanus was obviously the god of the Titan god and god of rivers and oceans, and that was the eldest son. That was the oldest son.
Right. Then you have Hyperion and Theia. Hyperion, like I said, was the sun, the moon, and the dawn. Theia was she was over like gems and gold and silver, basically all the pretty shiny things. They thought she was pretty awesome looking. Then we had Chaos and Phoebe, and Chaos was like the Inquisitor or the inquisitive one, and Phoebe was of prophecy, of foresight. And then Kronos and Rhea were the two that they got hitched up, and of course he was all about power. She was quite a amazing myth as well. Then we have Mesamine and Themis. They hitched up, and he was memory, and she was natural law, morality, order, kind of basics of what some of the Greek laws were attributed to her when it came to democracy and those type of things. Then we have two other males who married their nieces, was the Creos and Lepus. And I don't know a lot about Creos. He was one of the pillars that held up Uranus. And Lepus, he was kind of a cool dude. They associate him always with having a spear or a sword. He was the craftsman and also a god of morality. And that's the original 12.
I was always interested in Atlas, which is one of the second generation Titans, because he had to hold the weight of the world up on his shoulders, the weight of the sky. It was either the weight of the sky or the world, and that was his punishment for turning against Zeus and trying to take out the Olympians. Prometheus tried to convince him, "Hey, dude, don't do this. Bad idea. Bad idea." But he did it anyway, and as in punishment, he had to hold up the sky with his shoulders.
Ugly God, I don't know. You might be right, Parrothead. Some of it, like I said, we're learning this as you guys are, so I'm giving you the research that I've been able to come up with. Let me see if I could find some of that. What I looked so far didn't say anything about him being Lepidus was also considered to hold up the heavens and the earth apart as his role of one of the pillars, and his son was Atlas, so his son took after him, who held up the earth.
And it is possible that Atlas met Perseus. We all know who Perseus is. If you don't know who Perseus is, watch Clash of the Titans. He's the one who cut the head off the Gorgon and turned the crack into stone. And Hercules.
Yeah, Prometheus, Epiphtheus, Menoetus, and Atlas were his boys. But you may be right, but I don't see anything about him being ugly.
It may have to do with the fact that one of the rumors, this was never substantiated, was that Perseus used Medusa to turn him to stone because he felt pity for him, for having to hold the world up.
Well, that could be too. All right, let's see what we got more about Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Prometheus. Here we go. Prometheus was the son of the Titan Lepidus and the Oceanid Clayman. So she was one of Oceanus and Tethys's girls that he married. Even though a Titan himself, together with his brothers Epiphtheus and Zeus during the Tenomachy, which was basically the war between the Titans and the older Titans and Zeus's group. However, after helping Zeus to achieve victory in the war, he started a quarrel with him over his supposed unfair treatment of humanity. This led to Prometheus stealing the fire from the gods and gifting it to humanity, which resulted in Zeus chaining Prometheus and sending an eagle to prey upon him continually to regenerate his liver. So this bird kept eating Prometheus's liver. After some time, Zeus's son Heracles shot the eagle and freed Prometheus. Let's see. The Titans subsequently made peace with Zeus. Prometheus, okay, we already covered that part.
One thing, when Athena, which is Zeus's daughter, was about to be born, it was Prometheus that split Zeus's head open with an axe, and Athena sprang out of Zeus's head, fully grown, fully armed, and ready for battle. Sound like someone we know? Talking about you, Battle Angel. Popping out of Zeus's head, fully armed, fully grown, and ready for battle.
There we go. All right, now the one that I like, Hyperion. And both of these people who are in sci-fi, this is a lot of the reasons why I like some of these, is because these names appear in many shows of names of ships. All right, Hyperion was one of the Titans, son of Uranus and Gaia. We already knew that. He represented light, wisdom, and watchfulness. He was the father of the sun, the moon, and the dawn. In some early texts, the sun is mentioned as Helios or Hyperion. However, in the later texts, including Homer's and Hesiod's writings, Hyperion or Helios are two different deities. So sometimes there's confusion there. The latter being a physical representation of the sun. Hyperion was not part of the Titan War, or wasn't ever mentioned in it. Let's see. Hyperion was married to his sister Thea, and they had 3 children: Helios, the sun; Selene, the moon; and Eos, the dawn. He was considered one of the 4 pillars to hold up the heavens and earth apart. And since his daughter was Dawn, he was probably the pillar of the east. I guess they never really pinned down exactly which pillar he was, but most of it's guesswork when it comes to the pillars. All right, and we already talked who the other 3 pillars were. All right, and that's Hyperion. Wisdom, sun, moon, stars, or dawn. All right.
So who do we got left? We've got.
Oh, we got all of them. Anyone want to pick something out? We can do some research on it. How about? We don't have a lot about Thea. Let's find. Or who was? Kronos was married to Rhea. Rhea's kind of cool. Let's look her up.
Rhea, Titaness and Earth goddess. Rhea was the daughter of Uranus and Gaia, according to
yours, not mine.
Yeah, yours, not mine. Rhea's other name was Pandora. We all know about Pandora, where Pandora came from, and what Pandora did. Rhea was identified by the Roman as the goddess Ops and Magna Mater. Rhea married her brother Kronos and was the mother of the Olympians. Prophesied that her children would overthrow her brother/husband because, they got down like that. He took steps to prevent it. As Rhea gave birth to each child, Kronos would take the infant and swallow the child. When her youngest son Zeus was born, fearing that she would lose all of her children, Rhea wrapped swaddling cloth around a stone and gave it to her husband. Kronos unwittingly swallowed the stone. Rhea secretly sent her sons to Crete, where Zeus was brought up by mountain nymphs and the Curetes. She later helped Zeus to force her husband to disgorge her other children. Rhea and her mother Gaia provided emetic to the Oceanid Metis, Zeus's first wife. Metis had served the emetic Kronos with his drink, so that Kronos had to vomit out his 5 other children.
Right, that's the story where he snuck in pretending to be the cup bearer, and it was poison to make him vomit.
So, according to Orphic myth, after Zeus was born, her name was changed to Demeter, which is where we get Demeter. You know what? A lot here I'm going to mention. A lot of these names you're going to associate with, and one things you're going to associate them with are star constellations and planets that have been named in sci-fi series. Why? Because the Greeks and the Romans were legendary at doing things like that. They were,
and in some cases, being named after a constellation, some of these titans, it was a curse. It wasn't what they wanted at all. They were cast out.
Yeah, they were cast out. It's not what they wanted. They didn't want to be frozen in the stars. Not at all. So after Zeus was born, I said that as Demeter, she was, I'm not going to say that word, by her son Zeus. Zeus did the no-no with his mama. so that she gave birth to Persephone. In turn, Zeus would do it with his daughter Persephone so that she became the mother of Dionysius, known as Neoplatonius, as Zagreus. I guess that's how you say it. Is that how you say it?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Most of these I know, but
it's all Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me. Exactly. So she was also Phrygian Earth Mother goddess associated with the Cretan goddess Dictyna, who was previously known as Britomartis. A lot of weird names, and it's all Greek to me. Because half of these I've never even heard of before. I've never heard half of this before.
Here's one I thought was really cool because you've heard it in songs, you see it in movies. The river Styx. Well, there actually was a Titan, Styx, and it was a woman. Styx was a Titan goddess in Greek mythology, daughter of the Titans Oceanus, and it wasn't Gaia. He switched and decided to do it with Tethys. Thus, being one of the Oceanid sisters, she was the goddess of the river Styx and wife to the Titan Peleus, with whom she had 4 children: Zealous, Nike, that one, Kratos, and Bea. Styx fought on the side of Zeus in the against the Olympians during the Tecumaki, which is the war of the Titans. And let's see. To honor her, Zeus gave her the name of the binding oath that was taken by the gods. The river Styx was the mythological boundary between the realm of Earth and the underworld. In its waters, the great hero Hercules, you know about him too, was submerged when he was an infant by his mother, thus making him invincible. However, as she held him under, it was the Achilles heel deal.
Yeah.
So she was Nike's mom. I don't know much about Zulius or Kratos or even Baya, but Styx was actually the name of one of the original Titans of actual Uranus, not the following of Cronus or any of the sons or daughters. She was from one of the bigwigs, but still what they call a nymphid or oceanic because of who her mom was.
Another one that I absolutely always loved was Phoebe. Why? Because she got named after a moon. She was the Titaness of the moon. So she was the daughter of Uranus and Gaia, and she is the grandmother, if I'm not mistaken, of Apollo, Artemis, and Hecate. And we all know who they are. Her name means light and can be identified with the moon. According to, this is straight out of the Timeless Myth, according to the 5th century BC playwright Achilles, Phoebe gave Oracle of Delphi to her grandson Apollo. Though most writers say that it was her sister, I'm so sorry, Themis, who relinquished Delphi to Apollo after he had slowed the dragon Python. But the name Phoebe, you hear that like the moons of Phoebe. I know I've heard that at least in half a dozen different sci-fi either movies. The moons of Phoebe, the Phoebe moon.
There actually is a moon called Phoebe. I believe that one's around Saturn.
Yes, it is. And you got to wonder, okay, well, that they had to have taken that exactly.
That's part of the reason why I used Rhea, though, because there is a moon around Saturn called Rhea, and it's in the book, one of my books, where they have a massive shipyard where they manufacture some of the military ships.
Really?
Well, it's in the second book and third book, but yeah,
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still on book 1.
You don't have access to them unless you say please.
Oh, well, let me get past book 1 and I will say please. But I'm going to buy it. Guys, if you don't know, we're talking with successful author, Adega Outlaw, who wrote Evolution by Adega. Adega Evolution.
Zathras. Babylon 5 people will know that joke. All right, let's see. Anyone have a suggestion of one that we could read about?
Yeah, throw it out there in the chat, guys.
Ophion, I have no idea who this is, so I am going to look it up right now. And there's very little about him. It just shows a serpent around an egg as his picture. Iphorean or Iphorianus was the elder Titan god in Greek mythology who was the ruler of the earth along with his wife Euronome. The couple were later overthrown by Cronus and Rhea. Oh, so he existed before Cronus. Well, that's news.
Well, according to some myth, Kronos is actually Ifrit as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ifrit. We're talking a totally different mythology here. But just like Prometheus, we've got crossover between like Prometheus and Loki and other gods. The same thing with the Titans and the Greek gods. The pattern continued down the road.
Right. All right. Let's see if we have any. We haven't done her, but we did her husband. These incestual families.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like everybody's banging everybody. It's like an episode of the Kardashians. Everybody's banging everybody, right?
Right.
So, you know.
All right, here's the other half of the Oceanids. We have Oceanus and Tethys. So the Oceanids, or the water nymphs, came from her and from Oceanid. Tethys was one of the Titans, daughter of Uranus and Gaia. She was married to her husband Oceanus, gave birth to the river gods who lived in the rivers that were then known to the Greeks, such as Nile and Alpheus.
And Oceanus and Tethys were brother and sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Just more part of that whole Kardashian thing.
Oh, yeah, more part of that Kardashian thing.
And to the 3,000 water goddesses called the Oceanids. Despite being the mother of so many deities, this is what I thought was interesting. In Greek mythology, Tethys was not actively worshipped. During the war, she raised Hera as her stepchild, brought to her by Rhea. Like, she was one of the protectors. Rhea shelled out a couple of her kids to be watched over. According to one of the myths, Hera did not like that Callisto and Icarus were placed in the heavens by being turned into constellations. Like I said, constellations, they didn't like that. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. So she asked Tethys to do something about it. To appease Hera, Tethys denied the constellations from being able to be touched, or being able to touch the sea, and fell below the horizon. Instead, they were forever doomed to circle the skies.
Now, one of the things I find interesting here that I'm reading is that according to Homer and Rhodes, Oceanus was even older than the Titans. To Homer, all the gods arose from Oceanus. All of them. That he was older than all of them. And that may come down to people seeing water as something pure and life-giving. Maybe. I'm just
That's possible. It's possible. So a lot of these were set up specifically to explain certain astrological events. We talked about this briefly before we started the show. I get into a lot of old archaeological and alternate understanding of what some of these archaeologists feed us instead of doing real science. Some of them just like to pat their own egos and write a book. And there are many different places in the world that show evidence that there was a cataclysm, not necessarily the flood, because the flood should be just considered fact because it's everywhere in all these mythologies. But there was also an event much earlier where they talk of some massive celestial event. And in that celestial event, there was what they later called, it depends on who you're talking to, Uranus or Saturn, or there was a big a second sun. And some of these older pictures where people claim that they're signs of ancient aliens. And in fact, others say, well, it's not that at all. It's these people depicting this celestial event. And it almost baked the earth. You know, you find these places around the world where there's sand that was turned to glass, massive underground civilizations, you know, people hiding from the event that happened in the skies. And then as it passed on, they start explaining these things as myth, where the heavens or Uranus became basically evil. And, you know, the people that lived at the time saw that the heavens were screwed up and evil for a time. And it wasn't until the time of Cronus that things got better. And so to place it into a myth, they come up with these different gods to explain it, or at least to teach children, or even in some cases, it could be the word of mouth, like a lot of different civilizations do, hand-on traditions. And over time, they were changed when eventually the Greeks got a hold of them, and then this is what they did to explain some massive celestial event, or why there was, you know, serpents in the water that terrified people, or, you know, some people would drown and the nymphs got them, you know, or different things like that. Why do you feel so peaceful at the dawn instead of the dusk? You know, it's the time of enlightenment. Things like that.
One of the things that you always have to remember, though, is that belief has power. Belief can make people do all kinds of things. They can make them reach their hand out in friendship. They can make them stab that hand. They can make them eat that hand. Belief has power. Whether you believe that the Titans existed, the gods existed, whether you believe in religion, whether you don't, whether you're an atheist, belief has power. It has power in each and every one of our lives. Belief in something can have power. The belief that I can do this, the belief that I can be given the power to do this, the belief that if I do my very best and I speak to the gods or God or whatever, I will have the ability to do this. It can be a very positive force, and it can be a very negative force. It's all depending on how it's used and who is using it.
Exactly. There's a big psychological thing about it too, and it ties into all the mythologies. And we have things like wives' tales or urban legends or different things to teach people lessons and, like you said, motivations. Because one of the things that I studied in psychology, and I know some of you other people in psychology will know, and then also religion. It's too bad we don't have Ambassador here. He'd be jumping on his chair about this. But when you have a thing called faith, faith is not belief. Faith is the action word. You can believe in something, but faith is the one that motivates you. Faith is the one that says, oh, I'm going to go to the temple and pray to this God because I will get certain blessings. Or faith in a leader who says, we're going to overthrow and we can conquer and we can do these things because I believe in this leader. And setting up a whole mythos with all these different things. Well, you want to keep your kids away from the river because we know some of the kids will drown because they play in it. Well, let's throw nymphs in there and we'll tie them all into this mythos. But it's a thing where, you know, faith is very much the action word or the power word or the thing that motivates individuals or entire civilizations to do things.
So do you think that the tale of the Titans was a tale of how not to do something? I mean, you've got the beginning of creation, I guess, with Gaia and Uranus, and then you've got Kronos and Rhea birthing the Titans, and then they birth the Olympians, and so on and so forth. But the Olympians are the ones that really stuck it out. They were around for the longest. You think it was their way of whittling it down till it looked right? Like,
Well, I think it was both, to be honest with you. You probably will see it too, because there are both cautionary tales and there are also those of inspiration. There's strong women in the Titans. You look after your kids. This is how you take care of bad people. You may not be able to go up against them in battle, but you can use subterfuge or you can use other ways. There are blessings or enlightenment to have by studying certain aspects of nature or the environment. And there are also things that you can see in some of these Titans and the Olympians, or personality traits that lead you down to a terrible end or imprisonment. So I think it was an effort to, basically encourage people to do the right thing or be the right way. And in some regards, I guess it worked. They came up with democracy, which was the foundation of the Magna Carta, and then eventually our republic.
Yes, they did. Yes,
and the 300.
And the story of the 300, which was never 300, just 300 Spartans. They had a couple of thousand people there with them. They just weren't Spartans. There was only 300 Spartans, but yes, they had more people there working with them than that. But the Spartans considered them useless. So it was like, well, they aren't even in the story because they're worthless. And the Athenians were like, we're here to fight, and they're like, yeah, but you guys are boy lovers. So the real men will take care of it now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. The story of the 300, there was more. There was, like, I think almost 3,000 Greeks there. It's just you had the Athenians and you had some Greeks, and then you had the Spartans, and the Spartans were the tip of the spear. Yeah, the Spartans
were the Marines, while the rest of them were the well, if there's any guys from the Army, I'm sorry. I've had patience because I was not blessed with the physique to be able to join the military because broke my back when I was young and things didn't work out very well. But I have both Marines and Secret Service and Army and all kinds of different. Well, it's fun to watch the Army and the Marines go at each other. The guys at the Army say, yeah, the Marines are the stupid ones that'll go run out and get shot. And the Marines will say, yeah, the Army just sit back while we go out and do business. It's fun to watch. But basically the 300 were the Marines and the rest of them were the supporting group or the Army. Don't hate me for that. It wasn't my philosophy.
So, not to go too far off topic here, but one of the things I always loved was how I felt like certain things in Star Trek, and I don't want to go too far into Star Trek, were lifted straight from the Greeks. You got a lot of ship names, you've got a lot of ideas, ships like the Agamemnon and the Hyperion, but you've also got this tale of the Klingon gods and how once the Klingons kind of figured out that their gods were kind of like the Greek gods, they killed them all. They killed all their gods. And when they're like, are you serious? How could you do that? And he's like, they were more trouble than they were worth. So we killed them all. We didn't like having them around. And that might have been their way of moving past the feeling that they had to have these giant mythological beings whereas they had a real Klingon. They had Kahless, who was a real Klingon. He wasn't a god. He was, just another Klingon, except he was so powerful that he could pull a strand of his hair out and forge a bat'leth with it.
Right.
But it was men doing these things, not gods, not titans, not uber special beings. It was just a guy that pulled a strand of his hair out, dipped it into a volcano, and drew out a bat'leth. Kind of like it was just a man that pulled a sword from the stone to be king.
Right.
It wasn't a Greek god. It wasn't a titan. As you move away from these tales, more power and thought and I can do this is placed in humanity. more faith in ourselves to be able to take care of our problems.
In some regards, that's absolutely true. In other regards, if we go completely that way without having, like I say, I'm going to put some balance in this. If we don't have the guideposts, the strong may lead the wicked, or the weak, or the gullible, or what have you, down a path that people really shouldn't go. So there's a reason throughout all of time that we have been recording history that they've had these things. I mean, even like recently, there was the tale of, it was just my parents knew all these things, and some of you would know them. Like there was the ant and the grasshopper. The ant prepared all summer long. The grasshopper just played, and when the fall came and then winter came, the grasshopper starved. It wasn't like they say now, oh, the ant decided to help the grasshopper out and shared. No, the story was the grasshopper actually died, and the ant was fine because he spent all his time working. Well, even something simple like that is a tale that if you don't learn it, you don't have toilet paper when
Right.
the plague comes around.
Or food,
Right,
or a
right,
place to live.
right.
No, you're right. That's absolutely right. And can faith change that?
It has. It always has.
How
Just
how
it's just the trick is knowing which is misguided faith, which is the right kind of object or person to have your faith in. That's why Christianity has done the best, because the ideal of that religion is someone who has compassion for everyone, where a lot of them is that you don't have that compassion. And then, every group, every form of belief or mythology, even with the Titans, there is good in it. And that's what makes it good. Always attracts people. It's when it's bundled with stuff that's ugly where people get misled.
yeah.
Like the Germans, they used a form of it, because nationalism isn't bad, but they used a form of nationalism that was diseased. And people accepted it right off the jump and were slowly led down a path that, people wouldn't believe they would do. And yet they did it. And we have Jim Jones. These people thought he was the cat's meow. They would follow him through life, and eventually they followed him through death. He was a madman. But there was something in his teachings that people felt was right, and probably was right, until they drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep. And you could almost say the same thing about David Koresh in Waco.
Right?
He apparently knew scripture like nobody's business, but then he said he was going to have 60 wives and 80 concubines, and no one in the world could have sex. That was all going to be his domain. He was going to be burdened with glorious purpose.
It's funny how often that repeats, because some of you people who live in Ohio would know a place called Shaker Heights. Well, the Shakers were the exact same thing, except their leader was a woman. So she had all the men in the community, and all the women just had to support it. And they became kind of militant. They didn't go out and do some real damage, but it just repeats itself. It depends on who the leader is. They slowly weave their little web of belief, and a lot of it is very attractive. You know what? I'm going to be a better person to my neighbor. I am going to, you know, dress right and act right and say hello. And eventually she says, well, yeah, but you're going to hang out with me and not your wife. And well, she said all these other good things. I think it'll be okay. It's a slow step by step progression. You just got to watch those steps. Always keep your mind open and your eyes open.
Crimson Mist, if you have a link to that, dude, let me know. Let me know. If you've got a YouTube channel, dude, or a video link for that, let me know. So, before we go out here, do you think the Greeks were misguided in their worship of the Titans? Do you think that this was the beginning of the mold for what they were trying to do with the Olympians? Uh, do you think that just people got so tired of it they had to do something, and they brought into creation? Because let me tell you guys something: when you have faith in something, you give that power, whether you realize it or not. You're giving that power. So, do you think they were just kind of like trying to get to the point where they were with the Olympians, or do you think they just modified the story and just kept creating it? I mean, we don't even know like how any of this got started, honestly. We know some documentation from Homer and other people, but this is so old that we're talking about ancient myth.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know. Best guess is we take our model for them from what has happened in more recent times. The more powerful or the more prominent religions probably started off with someone who was a great orator, a great leader, maybe had a little bit of inspiration, and started weaving stories, or they had the right idea to begin with, and over time it got changed. Right now there is those people who believe in their religion and think it is the right way, and there are other people that stand outside and say, no, we got all the tools that we need. And some of these religions, and I could name them off, but I'm not going to get into it. But they'll start saying, well, maybe these people have the right idea, so we're going to kind of change the way we believe a little bit to match what's going on in society. And the Greek beliefs may have been that way. It may have started off at one point, but they wanted to humanize some of them, for one reason or another. Or maybe they were all humanistic to begin with, or maybe they were all natural to begin with, like the Druids. It was all, well, I don't know a lot about the Druids, eventually will, but we don't know. I don't know. Alls I know is like with any belief system, it was used to motivate, in most cases help, and in some cases unify for whatever reason.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on here today.
Oh, it's fun.
I indeed, sir, and I can't wait for next week. We're actually going to get into the Olympians next week, and if we have anything after that, we'll cover that, and then move on to Norse Vikings and Norse gods. I cannot wait for that. I'm going to throw something in chat here and embarrass the shit out of Adega. That is the Amazon link to Adega's book, Evolution. Guys, check it out. Absolutely wonderful book. I know all of you have been like, damn, Loki. But, dude, if you haven't gotten the book yet, check it out and get it, because it is an absolutely wonderful read. Within the first 5 pages, you will be hooked, going, man, what's going to happen to this guy? What the hell's going on? Why is this happening? Why is this buddy doing this? Oh, my God. Absolutely badass book from start to finish. And he's got more coming. So, thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Loki. Appreciate it.
Dude, you are very welcome. You are very welcome. Dude, this is what we talk about, guys. We talk about people bringing new life into literature, new life into comics, new life into movies, new blood, new ideas, not the same old shit over and over and over again. And Adega has nailed that, guys. It's absolutely wonderful, and I absolutely love and support his book.
It's a whole new universe to explore if you guys want along for the ride.
That's right.
And it is, some of you who are well versed in a lot of different things, you can see what the whole series is based on. There is an underlying theme to the entire thing. Some of you may miss it, and then there's been a couple people I talked to and they said, oh yeah, I saw it right at the beginning. I'm going, thank you, I got it right. But anyway, it's a new universe, and you don't have to rely on people trying to monkey with your canon, because this is canon that hasn't been touched.
That's right. And
Dave Bob thank you for bringing it up, though.
You are very welcome, brother. Dave Bob says, good night, Jim Bob. Good night, John Boy. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Dad. Good night, Mama.
Going to bed with Loki, waking up with Loki.
Good night, Dave Bob. Oh, thank you very much, Lady Miss. Thank you again, Adega, for being here. Guys, I will catch you tomorrow morning for Mornings of Mischief. I'm going to try and get a game stream in there at some point. If I do not, I will get one in over the weekend. I promise. I'm on walkabout and things are a little hectic at the moment because I'm doing this all mobily. So if I can get one in, I will. We have one good 2.5-hour game stream for Final Fantasy with 7 left. And then it is done, guys. It will be the last one. So I cannot wait. Thank you very much again. Psychodorp 9, Lady Mist, RR, Colonel Sharon, Rhonda, Dave Bob, everybody, Kathia Star.
Can I throw in one more thing real quick?
Yeah, hit it. Trey from X World Entertainment.
Just so you people know, Loki's numbers are growing. He's doing well, but he's also a kind of one of those rising stars that people look at and become a center of attention. So support the man. There's a lot of arrows sometimes that get directed at him, and sometimes a nice cold cup of water. But let's be kind to each other, and let's make sure this community stays a friendly, happy, good group to where we can come together regardless of how large it gets. And leave the games at home and bring the minds, the open hearts, and the camaraderie here, because I like this community an awful lot, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you, man. I think I feel the same way about each and every one of you. I will go to bat for each and every single one of you guys and do anything I can to help out. So thank you very much. I will see you guys in the morning. Thank you again, Adega, for being here. Dave, Bob, everybody, RR. Guys, you've been great. I will catch you guys in the morning, and hopefully we'll have a cool game stream this weekend. I will catch you guys. We will catch you guys next Thursday.
You got it.
Brother.